Hey, welcome to What You Doin' with Brandon Horwin.
And Sophie Williams. And today's special guest is.
Hi there. This is Christopher Sieber. I'm a two-time Tony Award loser. Tony Award viewing actor.
Well, welcome, Christopher. We're thrilled
Thank you.
to be able to talk to you today and
Thank you.
to dive into your career, which is a
Sure.
pretty one. So we're excited for our audiences to learn more about you and what you've done and are continuing to do. So let's just get started with a little bit
Sure.
about your journey to theater. Can you tell us all how you sort of got your start and where you climbed up the ladder to take you to today?
Well, I started, it kind of started in third grade. I grew up in a very small town called Wyoming, Minnesota, 642 people in the town. Everyone knew everybody. And our elementary school only had 5 grades because kindergartners and first graders, apparently there was a new law passed that no kids could climb stairs if they were so we had 5 grades. That's all we had. One small schoolhouse. And some teachers saw something in me. They thought I was gifted, and so they shipped me off to Minneapolis in third grade every like Wednesday or Thursday, and I went to the children's theater in Minneapolis, and that's where I got introduced to theater. And I was involved in a show called The Cookie Jar, and I didn't know what I was doing, but I knew I was having fun, and I heard the audience laughing and having a great time, and that's what made me just enjoy it. I got the bug then. And then I did Little Match Girl there as well, and then I was just kind of I just kept doing it. And then high school, and then community theater, and then I had teachers again in high school that said that took me aside and said, "You need to get out of here. There's nothing in Minnesota for you. You need to go." So they helped me get to New York and Los Angeles and New York to go to school to AMDA, and I went to AMDA, and then I started right away. I started working right away, and been doing it ever since.
Awesome.
It's a
So
long
jumping
yeah.
right in. Jumping right in, you made your Broadway debut in Beauty and the Beast as a replacement for.
No, it was actually it was Triumph of Love.
Oh, was it Triumph of
Yeah.
Love?
hmm
All right. Can you tell us a bit about that? I've never heard of that
Triumph
show.
of Love.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was written by Jeffrey Stock. Who else? James Magruder. Michael Mayer directed it. It was Susan Egan and myself.
Oh,
And
really?
she and yeah, she's so a Beauty and the Beast connection
Yeah.
there.
Nice.
She and I were the original cast. We brought it out of town. We were in Baltimore first at Center Stage, and then we brought it to
Awesome.
Yale. Went to Yale with it and developed it there with Michael Mayer and everybody. And then we were the only surviving original cast. Everybody else was hired for Broadway. But it was really weird. We had when we were in rehearsals at Broadway, Betty Buckley joined us, and then F. Murray Abraham, and then Nancy Opal. And so in the beginning, we had Elaine Boozler was in. Remember the comic Elaine Boozler? Probably not, but she was one of the stars. So it was Betty Buckley, F. Murray Abraham, Susan Egan, and Elaine Boozler. So we had a press event like the first day of rehearsal, press and stuff, and taking pictures and meeting the cast and read through the show. And then the next day I had the flu, so I was gone for 2 days. I was gone out of rehearsal for 2 days, and I come back and they replaced like a third of the cast. Patrick Breen was the original Harlequin, and they replaced him with Roger Bart. And then Elaine Boozler just quit because she wanted to do her act during the show. So she wanted to do like her stand-up comedy during the show, and they said no. And she said, well, she quit. So she quit. And then she came back the next day and said, I didn't quit because when you quit, they don't have to buy you out. So she screwed herself over. But on the marquee, the names were on the marquee. You know, it was a green background with white lettering, and it was Betty Buckley, F. Murray Abraham, Susan Egan, and Elaine Boozler. And they took her name off, but they just put pieces of green tape over her name on the marquee. And so you could still see her name when the lights came on. So it was like, it looked like a piece of green tape, but I was so bad covering it up. It was so bad. But then Nancy Opal came on board. And so came back and we saw the whole crazy cast that we had. And I mean, it was a crazy, amazing cast. What we ended up with, it was, you know, those four: Roger Bart, Kevin Chamberlain, Nancy Opel, and myself. And that was, come on, I mean, what a crazy, only 7 of us too. It was nuts. But it was great. It was the first kind of that was my first show on Broadway, and actually I'm doing company now. Well, starting in October, we're going to start back up again, and I'm doing company in the same theater I made my Broadway debut in, which used to be called the Royale. Now it's called the Jacobs, and I am in the same dressing room that I was back in 1997. I didn't even ask for it; they just gave it to me. How about that? That's crazy. I have a picture of myself in that dressing room, and from '97, and now I'm back in there again.
Yeah, that is crazy. Oh my gosh. But just going back to Beauty and the Beast as Gaston, you know, what was it like kind of being in one of the original Disney mega musicals, really in their like heyday?
Oh, well, it was crazy fun. I mean, it was crazy fun. I mean, when you play an evil character like Gaston, it's the best. It's absolutely the best. And at the curtain call, if you did everything right, they boo you, which is a badge of honor. You know, when you come on and they're like, boo, you're like, yeah, I did it right. But it was fun. And that's where I met my husband as well. Kevin was the Fork. I was Gaston. And I met some wonderful, great friends there. They're still friends today. But it's such a great story. And, you know, when people think of Beauty and the Beast, I think originally they thought of the show like, oh, whatever, Disney's here, whatever. But I loved that show. And even when I was as a citizen, just watching it before I even got the show, you know, I loved it because it was, they're in the huge, crazy costumes and it's all the spectacle of it. But the costumes, you're like, I don't really buy it. You buy it. But I loved that show, and it was so much fun to play. And Gaston could be evil, but he's just too stupid to know how bad he is, how evil he is. He's a stupid man. But you know, and I worked with Andrew McCardle was our Belle, which was terrific, and that was awesome. And Steve Blanchard was the Beast, who had been the Beast for almost a decade. He was terrific. But it was playing. Disney kind of let you be, which is great, because in the beginning they wanted to run the show. This is what Susan Egan told me. When they started on Broadway, they made everybody wear a name tag like you would if you were a Disney park or cast member, you know? So they made everybody wear name tags, including the crew, the IATSE crew. and they wanted everybody to have the Disney way. So you're greeting your friendly and to everybody, and everybody's respected and kind. And the cast and crew are like, no, we are not doing that. Especially the crew. They're like, no, we are not doing that. and so for once, Disney relented. They were like, okay, we get it. We're not going to do that. But, you know, be nice. But they also wanted Susan at one point to come out in her yellow bell dress and sign autographs like a theme park, you know, like in the park, after she just did a 2.5-hour show. Come out and sign autographs and take pictures with children, like, and wear your name tag. She was like, no, are you crazy? No. So they got rid of that too, and then Disney just left you alone after a while. They just kind of like ran it like a Broadway show, which it is.
Yeah,
that's great. So you've also done several replacement roles. One of them, Beauty and the Beast, Thoroughly Modern Millie, Chicago, Pippin, Matilda, and you've originated roles in the Prom, which we'll get to, Shrek, Spamalot. So does your process differ for one or the other? And do you find one more challenging than the other?
Well, I think, when you create something, that's the best. I mean, that's what I love to do. I love to create new things, and I rarely will do something I've already done. You know, Chicago is one thing because it's the span between times I've done Billy Flynn are pretty vast. I mean, it's like every 4 or 5, 6, 7 years I'll go back and do Billy Flynn, and they don't give you really rehearsal, so you just have to go in and but other than that, creating something is always cool, and it's also scary and dangerous, and that's what I kind of like about it, because you don't know if it's going to work until you're in front of an audience. But also when you're taking over a role, they're trusting you. First of all, the producers and directors are trusting, the creators are trusting you to do this job and tell the story and make it great. I like replacing people solely because I like doing new things, but also the work's been done. Somebody else went through the process of creating, and all you have to do is do what they're doing. You can, but it's yours now, so you can make your own stamp. You can put your own stamp on it. But the hardest part I think to go into for me was, well, there's a couple. Matilda was hard, but they also gave me way too much time. I like to go in a short period of time. Like I've replaced people literally. When I went into Thoroughly Modern Millie for Mark Kudish, I took over for 3 months because he was going off to do an opera or something. So I was working with the original cast of Millie, which is fantastic. And I had 3 days to go into that show, 3 days to learn the songs. Well, I knew the songs, but I had 3 days to learn it all. And then on the 4th day, I went into the show and I was like, boom, you're on. Pippin was very similar to that when I took over for Terrence Mann. Terrence Mann was taking a leave as well because he had a school that he has. Or no, he was filming a series. But going in again, it was for him, it was like 4 days to go into Pippin, and I had to throw knives at my friend Charlotte Dembois, and I've never thrown knives before, and so I learned to throw knives in 4 days and throw them at my friend Charlotte Dembois. That was fun. They finally gave up on my juggling because the spotlight would hit me, and I'm supposed to stand on this elephant stand and juggle, and I can juggle. I just can't juggle when a spotlight's like bursting in my eye. So I would drop it all the time. And so I said, can I just like wave a thing or something? Because I can't see. But like Spamalot, that was fabulous because first of all, you're working with this cast that was insane and just nothing but fun. And Mike Nichols, who's the greatest director ever to live, and the nicest guy. And he was like Papa. He was like a dad. We couldn't wait to show him what we were doing, and he was always had the perfect way to say what you needed to do to make a laugh or make a moment, and he knew exactly how to tell you that in like a sentence. He didn't go on and on and on. But also him trusting you as well to just kind of go and throw darts. That's why I call it throwing darts, is when you're just kind of like seeing if it hits anything. But yeah, so creating is always fabulous. Replacing is always great. In this situation where I'm going into company right now, it's creating something that's already been created, but it's such a different way of doing the show that it's kind of like you are creating it all over again during this revival. Because when you see the show, when you see company, it's mind blowing. I've seen the show so many times in so many different ways, and this is the most brilliant thing I've ever seen, and I can't believe I'm in it. With this cast, amazing, crazy, unbelievably talented cast of adults, like everyone's on their game, and so it's the rehearsal process was like, holy shit, I gotta step up, So anyway, that was a long-winded answer, wasn't it?
It was good though, and I have my ticket for company.
Oh, you do? When you come and see it?
In December.
Oh, good.
Right after Christmas, I believe. So.
Okay, well, will have just been opened.
Yes. Yeah, that's right, because they moved it up.
Right. I think we opened December 9th, something like that. I don't know. We were supposed to open on Steve Sondheim's birthday last year. Yeah, last year, but that didn't work out.
Great. Sorry, I lost track of where I was because
That's all right.
Can you tell us a little bit about your time with Shrek the Musical, which went on to become, filmed on Netflix for a wide array of audiences to then see digitally. So what was it like creating that world on stage with that incredible score and cast by your side?
That was okay. So my friend Jason Moore, who directed it, I've done many workshops and readings of new works with him, including the Share Show. And we tried to do Soap Dish, the musical, with Jason. And I was in London doing Spamalot. We opened Spamalot in the West End, and he emailed me and he says, "Hey, when are you coming back? I think I need your help with this thing." And I was like, "What is it?" He says, "Don't laugh. It's Shrek the Musical." And I said, "That's a terrible idea. That is an awful idea." And he said, "I know, but come and if you want to do it, please come do it. You'd be Lord Farquaad." And I said, "Oh, okay, fine." So I get in the room. We're there. They only have 3 songs. They don't even have half. I think act 1 maybe done. And I read the part, and it just clicks with me. It just clicks with me. And I developed that, the way he spoke, the way he was so evil. He loved being evil. He loved just like, I was just awful. Ooh, this is terrible. Farquaad loved that kind of stuff. But he was also playful, and they let me. I mean, a lot of Farquaad, what is in the show now, was basically improv by me. And it's probably like 60% of Farquaad is me. And David Lindsay-Bear just kind of let me go, and Jason Moore just kind of let me go, and also Jeffrey Katzenberg, who was with DreamWorks, they didn't know what to do with me, so they just let me go. They let me do stuff. The whole idea of top of Act 2, where you see Farquaad in a big bathtub and everything, that was my fault. That was my idea. And the song was my idea as well, but they ran with it in a way. My story about Farquaad was that his daddy was grumpy, but he was a child with the 7 dwarves, and he stole their jewels and bought a theme park. Basically, that's where he got the money for Duloc. I know, deep Shrek things, right? Deep. But also being on my knees part, that was my fault too. So anybody who does Shrek, I'm sorry. It's my fault. It's because I created that, and I could have done something different. We were going to have like a track or something in the floor of the stage. We were also going to have maybe a running gag thing where I'd always be behind a set piece. And so you'd always just see me with little puppet legs, but I'd be behind a set piece, like a luggage cart or like a apple cart or something like that. It would be a running gag. And then I came in one day with little socks, little dowels, and I did this little stupid dance. And I laughed at myself, and then I showed the creative team, and they were like, "Well, that's it." And so then we started developing how to make this happen, and we built this thing. We designed, Tim Hatley and I together came up with the idea, and then built what we called the rig, the thing where I put my knees in, and the cape and everything. We created that together. And but it was so much fun creating it. But after a while too, it does take a toll on your body. My knees were fine. It was always my hips, my neck, my shoulders. Always, it was just in pain. I didn't miss shows. I went on vacation, I think once or twice, but I also only missed 6 shows, and it was usually on a Sunday morning because I couldn't move because my hips were so swelled up, because all the weight would go into your hips, and so I'd roll over. I couldn't walk. So, but sometimes comedy hurts, you know. But working again, I'm so grateful and lucky to be working with just the amazing group of people, and the cast was just incredible. Again, I mean, it's just terrific friends, and David Lindsay-Bear and Janine Tesori, and just it was great. It was terrific.
On an unrelated note, I think I knew a kid in high school who, when he was Lord Farquaad and they were doing Shrek, when he comes out for What's Up Duloc, I think an ensemble member stepped on his cape as he was walking on his knees, and he just got yanked back. It was the most embarrassing moment of my life.
the top of that song, you know, Farquaad's on top of the castle, and he's doing this little thing with his legs, like "Once upon a time," and he crosses his legs again. Well, I'm already in the whole rig thing. I'm just kneeling up there, and the thing is right here, and I'm just doing this thing, moving these with my hands. That's all I'm doing. And but the rig, I was up there, so I have to be preloaded up there while they're doing "Welcome to Duloc." I'm preloaded on top. They bring this elevator up, and I'm up there, and the puppet leg on my rig just goes bing boom and falls and breaks right there. And I yell to the assistant stage manager, Stacy, what? Stop the show. I broke my leg. She She went, what? Okay, stop the show. Emergency stop. Oh, stop. Chris broke his leg. Chris broke his leg. Chris broke his leg. The show, pandemonium backstage. The crew's like freaking out. Our musical director, Tim Weil, comes out of the pit. I don't know why, but they bring me down in the elevator. They're all so scared. Someone almost called 911. I was like, guys, and I just step out and this leg is flopped, my puppet leg is just flopped forward. There'd be no way. And then I was like, oh, it's my leg, but it's not my leg. It's that leg. But they thought, there would be no way at all that I could do the number. There'd be no way, because the whole gag is that, but it was also the broken leg. I mean, it's just broken. So we had to stop the show. And we stopped the show. And then we got into the spare rig, and then the show went on. But and then they wrote about it in Cindy Adams' column the next day. But yeah.
That's too good. Oh my gosh. So more recently, you were Trent in the Prom, which opened up only a couple years ago.
Yeah.
So we've talked about the show on the show before with Beth and whatnot, but I want to hear your point of view on why this show and its message is so necessary for audiences to see and hear it, like, at this time.
Yeah, well, Prom was quite possibly my favorite thing that I've done, besides Spamalot, and because it was us. I mean, I don't know if Beth told you that, but they wrote it with us in mind, which, by the way, never happens. Never happens. And they wrote it with, the creative team we're our friends. We've all known each other for 20, 25 years or more, including the cast, Angie, Beth, Brooks, and myself. So we've been friends forever. And when we were in the room together, it just kind of happened. I mean, which never happens, it's just, they let us go. We improv'd like crazy. They wrote it, they put it in the show. Our personalities are stamped on these characters forever. And it worked really well with us because all four of us, like, we knew each other so well, and we still do. We talk almost every week still. My dog is licking my leg. Stop. I see you. So we worked our butts off to make this thing, and it took 8.5 years to finally make it to Broadway. And the whole idea of it was based on an idea that Jack, what's his last name? Jack. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but he came up with this idea, and the writers just ran with it, about this girl in, I believe it was Mississippi, not Indiana, but it was Mississippi, that they had a prom, but they had a different prom. It wasn't just for the lesbians and the gays, but it was also for the special needs kids, which is gross. I mean, you should be all inclusive. It doesn't matter if you're special needs or not. You should be able to go to the prom. If lesbian or gay, shouldn't matter. You should be able to go to the prom. And but they ran with just the girl lesbian thing. And we had so many kids come to the show at the stage door, and they were 12, 13, 14, 15, teenagers. Some and some just a little older, like 18, coming to the stage door, shaking because they just saw themselves represented on Broadway, and they had never saw that before, but done in such a positive way as well. If you think about it, if you ever watch, Prom, don't watch the movie, because the movie's awful. The movie's terrible. They sucked all the fun out of it. They sucked all the fun out of the show, and the filming is just like, ugh. So anyway, and also at the stage door, the kids would say, "Hey, I love the show." I was like, "Thanks you. I'm gay, but my mom doesn't know, and she's behind me." I'm like, okay, right. Your secret's safe with me, I guess. But it was terrific, and we had who was it? We invited like 300 gay youth to the show, and there's a scene in top of Act 2 where Mrs. Green is giving a news conference, press conference about how she's not. We didn't do this. She did this. She's making herself look like the victim, and the audience is filled with gay youth, and they are not having Mrs. Green. Poor Courtney, who played Mrs. Green, she's getting through it, but they were yelling at her. They were like, no, no. It's awesome. It was great. I have a recording of that somewhere, but it was because they were like, no, no, boo. They were booing her. It was great. But that show, yeah, I mean, it wasn't even really, it was work, but it was like the easiest hard work. I think Beth always says that. It's the easiest hard work I've ever done. And just to have, you're with your friends and you're in the room and you're just playing, and no choice was wrong. I mean, we tried everything, and if it didn't stick, we got rid of it. And if it's made it funny, if it made help forward the story, great. And that act 2, where all 4 of us had a big 11 o'clock number, one after another. I mean, it's just like, holy God. And I had to follow Beth Level, which is a terrible thing. It was just awful. And because the crowd would go nuts after her song Ladies Improving. They go absolutely apeshit. And then I'm on. And so she'd come off stage after, basically stopping the show every night. And she'd come and pass me, and I'd go, thanks, Beth. Thanks for that. Thanks. Like when the Beatles were on Ed Sullivan, what was the next act? No one knows. No one remembers. But that's okay. I actually said, why can't we just put Love Thy Neighbor before Ladies Improving? Why can't we do that? Because then, my number will get more applause because they don't know what's coming.
That's so funny. So we talked a little bit about company, but I'm curious. You guys started previews prior to COVID. Obviously, we're shut down, and then are going to start that process back up soon for preview starting, like you said, in October. So can you walk us through a bit about what you know so far about how this process is going to go? Like, where do you, as a cast and team, pick up from where you left off and prepare the show to now have sort of a second life, and hopefully
like the revival, right?
Yes.
Yeah, we don't, I don't know much. I just know we're starting rehearsal right now. The good news is we've got a lot of it under our belt. I don't remember much of it, but I know the arc of it, and I know our choreographer Liam, who's terrific and amazing. It was difficult to communicate. He had a hard time communicating with what his vision was. He knew it, but he didn't really let us know, and he didn't really explain it to us. So we were kind of in the dark, and we just kind of went along with it. But it took forever to learn Side by Side, which is crazy, and the opening number, which is phenomenal. The opening is unbelievable. But we just kind of did it organically, and but it came together. But now that we know what it is, I think the process of going back and rehearsing this thing is going to be much easier because we know what it is and we know what it looks like. Oh, and they also did this great thing with another 100 people got off of the train. What they did in London, they're not doing here. There's a new thing they're doing here in New York, and we're pushing around gigantic letters. It spells out company. And we make little hallways and places and things with the word company. They all light up, and it's really spectacular. But that thing took forever to learn because things are heavy. I mean, they're I think 9 feet tall, and they weigh like 150 pounds each, and you're pulling these things around, and it's exhausting. But we crash into each other constantly. So now that we know what it is, it's going to be a lot easier, and we're not going to be crashing as much. And but we were crashing like a lot. And other than that, yeah. So I don't know what the process is going to be coming back, but I know almost everyone's coming back with the show. I think Kyle Dean Massey, and John Arthur Green. Kyle Dean is having a baby with his husband, so he's like, you know what, priorities, which I completely respect. And John Arthur Green, which is one of the covers and ensemble members, he decided to become a minister. So, like, great, everyone pivots, when you're not anything to do. But again, this cast is just incredible, and and working with Patty, there's a moment when she sings "Ladies Who Lunch," and the entire cast is on stage most of the time throughout the show. We're just kind of like different versions of like Harry. I play Harry. And we're just different versions of ourselves, because in Bobby's mind, their friends are always around. Like even in a street scene, you're just kind of around, but you're in a different costume. So it's just like a representation of your character and her friends. So it's kind of an interesting way. Even in the club, we're at this club that's way too swanky for everybody, especially for Joanne and Bobby. They're kind of out of place at this club, and everybody's just looking at them like, "Who the hell are you?" We're really super chic. But Jen Simard and I, because we've been doing this business for like 30 some years, know better to when Patti LuPone is on stage and you have an opportunity, because the choreography is like movement, movement, stop, movement, movement, stop, movement, movement, stop. And every stop, you have to be facing a different direction. That's the thing. But Jen and I knew to stop at a place where you could watch Patti LuPone. So when you see the show, you'll see Jen and I, like at one point we were almost fighting for the same spot. So we could like just watch Patti LuPone, we just freeze, we freeze for a couple bars of music, and then we move again, and then we freeze again. And Jen Simard and I had the exact same idea at the exact same time. So when you see the show, we're always looking at Patti, because come on, it's Patti LuPone. And also Jen Simard is like one of my dearest friends. And also when I was auditioning, I was one of the first people hired. I was still doing prom when I got hired for company. And my husband and I were like, who would be the best Sarah? Who would be the best Sarah? And I said, Jen Simard. And this was 6 months prior to even anybody getting the announcement coming out. And I said, well, Jen Simard would be amazing. And then the news came out, the press release came out that it was the cast of company, and it said Jen Simard is Sarah, and we called each other exactly at the same time. We have this really weird connection. We're always doing the same thing at the same time. We called each other. Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! I was like, the one person I wanted for play Sarah was you. She said no. I was like, yes, no. And she said, I didn't even know you were even auditioned for it. And I was like, yeah, I did, and I got it. Now we're there. But she and I worked together the almost direct opposite of how we do comedy. I throw darts, and she analyzes every little detail. Where she's like, oh, I can't go there, can't do that. But she always gets the punch. She always nails it. And it's always funny. And I'm basically a straight person to her. She does all the comedy, and I just kind of react to her. Just nonplussed. But the stuff she comes up with, I don't know where she has this well of weirdness that comes up, because if you met her in person, she's very quiet. She's almost shy and very, very polite. It's like, but then this character comes out of her, just like, and it's unbelievable. She's just incredible, and I'm so happy to be opposite her.
That's amazing. So switching gears just a little bit to another portion of your career, which is television. You've been featured in several well-known TV shows, including Law and Order SVU, The Good Fight, Sex and the City, The Good Wife, and more. So what was it like? Well, what is it like working, on TV for you? Is it any different in any way as an actor, that you've done a lot on the stage as well? And how were these experiences for you?
Well, I did a sitcom called Two of a Kind with the Olsen twins, and I played their dad on ABC. It was on TGIF. And that was new. It was my first pilot, my first TV series, and boy, it's really fun and very nice, because they pay you a lot of money, and it was a 4-camera show. So it basically means you're doing it in front of a live studio audience. So it's basically theater, and there's 4 cameras capturing you. So you just do a play basically every day with the same character, or every week with the same character. That is terrific. And so, but that's a multi-camera show. So a multi-camera show is different than a single camera show, which is Law and Order or The Good Fight and The Good Wife. That's a single camera show. It's shot like a movie. So it's set up, shot, set up, shot, set up, shot. It's very tedious and can take forever. But that's the way they want it to look, because it looks like a movie. And that can get really boring really fast. And also, when you're a guest star on those shows, you don't know the energy, because there's, the cast, the regular cast, they know each other. They've been working with each other for sometimes, like especially SVU, like decades. They've been together for decades, so they know each other's chemistry. They have the energy. The crew knows their energy. They know how to do this together. You step in and you're stepping into, somebody else's house basically, and you don't know the rules really. So it's very, you always feel, and you can ask any actor about this, you will always feel like a dick. You always feel like a dick, and like you're just like, I don't know what I'm doing here. You'll always feel that way when a guest star, because there are some directors too that just kind of point the camera and they expect you, which is your job, to just do it, just act. But there are some directors too that will direct you, actually, no, I want some more energy here, this will really play well. And so you really have to be on your game and prepared for whatever. Sometimes, most of the time, you have to direct yourself though, and be prepared to know your lines, just but I don't mind working on television. I like it. I just prefer the um instant gratification of an audience, the energy that comes across the lip of the stage. I like that. I like that a lot. It's a drug. It's a complete, I'm an addict, so but other than that, yeah, you just feel weird. It depends also if you're a guest star like SVU. By the way, I'm on my bio. I used to have, if in Playbill, if you notice, uh everybody's on Playbill, their bio say, the credits include Law and Order, SVU, everyone except me. I had not done Law and Order, and I put it in my bio on Playbill. I said, Mr. Sieber has not appeared in Law and Order. And so then they called me and said, they gave me an episode. They literally just called me and said, well, now you're doing it. And they just called me and gave me an episode. So it was a 2-week shoot, which is terrific. So I was there. And in that case, you get to know the crew. You get to know Mariska Hargitay, who was terrific and just a doll. And I was doing Matilda at the time. And so I invited Mariska to Matilda, and she came with her husband and her kid. And she was like, oh my God, how do you do that? And I was like, how do you do what you do?
Yeah, that's great. So switching gears a little bit, what advice would you give to students aspiring to work in the arts going forward at this time?
Well, like I said before, be prepared. If you're auditioning and everything, know your music, um, and know your dialogue. If you're especially if you're reading, know it really well. I mean, hold it in your hand, but know it really well. The other thing is, be kind. Be kind to people, because number one, you don't know what their day is like. You don't know what their life is like, and they might rub you the wrong way. And just to say, that's not my journey, it's okay, but be kind, because two things. That person who you are unkind to most likely will become someone that you will need later in life. um it always comes around. It always comes around. And if you're mean to, say the accompanist, um, and you're rude and mean, they will remember that. I mean, it's Maya Angelou said in that poem, people won't remember what you said, or they won't remember what you did, but they will remember how you made them feel. And um, that accompanist will one day become a composer that's writing a Broadway show, or will become a major musical director, and you will audition and they will say, no, they were rude to me. And believe me, it happens. Um, and the other thing is, say yes. Just say yes. Take every opportunity, especially when you're starting out. Just do everything. Just say yes to everything. Be so busy that it's like stupid. I mean, do everything. Do everything. Um, go to as many things as you want, as you can too. Like, see, well, eventually when we have shows again, but see shows, see cabarets, see off Broadway plays, musicals. Do it. And also, there's another cool opportunity that not a lot of people ever think about, but be a reader for a casting agency. So you're kind of behind the table, not necessarily behind the table, but you can see other actors' mistakes when you're a reader. you'll be reading the same material, but the different takes that people come in with, it's just fascinating, and it's very valuable experience. And let's see what else. And yeah, and it's not a competition. It's not a competition. Some people think that, they will listen outside, the stage, the audition door, the audition room, and hear somebody singing, and they'll like, well, he's always gonna get the job, and I'm not gonna get the job. It's not your journey. If you get this job and the other person does, or vice versa, it's not your journey. Things aren't meant to be. So what you do, if you don't get the job, or when you finish that audition, if you feel like you did a great job and you feel like you nailed it out of the ballpark, leave, forget it, move on, keep moving on. Don't dwell, because if you start thinking and obsessing about it, you will destroy yourself. So don't obsess.
Yeah, that is great advice. Also, I that's really interesting take about being a reader. I'd never heard that before.
Oh yeah. No,
That's
I did
great.
that. I did that when I was 21. And it was amazing to see what people did. I mean, some great, amazing, unbelievable choices, and then some just like, what are you doing choices? Why are you doing it? Why are you doing it with a Spanish accent? I don't understand.
Yeah, no, that's great. So you've been in so many, theatrical creation processes, ranging from, completely original works, adaptations, even revivals. So do you find that, there's any particular process that you're partial to?
Like, so I'm sorry, what was your question?
Yeah, so you've really kind of run the gambit of all creative processes, doing original works and adaptations, revivals. Do you find that any of those processes you're partial to, you enjoy more?
No, as long as it's new, I don't mind. I don't. I always like creating, but even in a revival, you're still creating. If you're the original cast, you're still creating
Mhm.
whatever this is for this revival.
Mhm.
So I don't. Yeah, I don't. I just like doing something new. That's. I mean, that's the best part, and I would say rehearsal is the best part, because you get to play, you get to fool around.
Who is someone that has greatly inspired your career?
Well, there's way too many, really. I would say David Hyde Pierce was. We've known each other for a long, long time, and I met him in Los Angeles when I was just finishing up a television series, and we were also doing The Boys from Syracuse at this thing called Reprise, which is basically Los Angeles version of Encores. And that's where I met him first, and we were playing opposite each other. And of course, it's David Hyde Pierce. He's still on Frasier, and he literally, like the day before, won an Emmy for Frasier. And he was hosting the Emmys. I mean, it's crazy. So I'm like, it's David Hyde Pierce. However, he is the kindest man to everybody he meets. And he does not draw attention to himself at all. He gives it all to you. And how he treats fans, when we were doing Spamalot, people would come up to him and ask him for, when we would all go out to dinner between shows, we'd go to Angus, or we'd go to Joe Allen's or something, and Hank and Steve and Michael McGraw and David Hyde Pierce and myself and Christian Borle would all just sit at one big table at Joe Allen's and just talk and laugh. And but people would come up to him at the restaurant and said, "Mr. Hyde Pierce, and may I have your autograph?" And he says, "Hey, yes, I will do that. But right now I'm having dinner, so I will come and find you after that. Okay, great, fantastic, thank you." Treated. He didn't have to do. He says, "No, I'm eating." No, he didn't do that. He was just kind, and he treated everyone like that. And I said, I want to be you one day. I want to be exactly like you, to treat everyone with respect and kindness. And he said it's not as hard as you think. And it's really not. And so I do that. I mean, Mike Nichols had a big effect on me as well, as far as doing comedy, the efficiency of comedy. He taught me a lot about that. That was, and also strangely enough, F. Murray Abraham taught me a lot about comedy too. He taught me about subtlety and how much less is more is so more, and you don't have to telegraph it. He was just unbelievably brilliant. And also, the teachers I had in high school that told me to get the hell out of here. There's nothing here for you. You need to go to New York. So they had a big. I mean, I wouldn't be here if they didn't see that in me, because I didn't see it in me. So
yeah. Well, winding down, we've talked about so much today, so many experiences. Do you have an experience that we haven't touched on today that you think is just invaluable for audiences, or that you particularly enjoy and you want to share?
An experience of my own, or
Theatrical, something that changed your life, and anything that you could think of.
Well, I guess just the top of my head, we're very lucky. The Broadway community, we're a very, very lucky people. Everyone working there, the ushers, the crew, the actors, ticket people, everybody, anybody in the theater district working in the theater, we are very lucky people. And you can feel that respect from everyone, which is something that I didn't really grasp until like my second show on Broadway, that we all have worked our butts off to get there so hard, that I always call it Broadway's like high school where everyone's at the cool kids table. And because it's great. I mean, some of my favorite times are between shows on Wednesdays and Saturday matinees, because high school's let out for recess basically, and everyone and their shows they're going to 8th Avenue to have a bite, or 9th Avenue to have a bite, or doing an errand between shows, but everyone sees everyone from every show. And the great thing about the Broadway community is everyone knows everybody, and so you've either worked with them or you just know them by being in the Broadway community. And it's such a rare thing to have that. It's an 8-block radius of where I'm super famous. I'm super famous in the 8-block radius. Outside that 8-block radius, nobody knows who the hell I am, which is great. But that's really cool. Because when I was in the West End, they don't have that in the West End at all. They just don't hang out. And the theaters are kind of spread out, but they're not that spread out. And also no one can afford to live in London. No one. So everyone has to get a train to go to Tunbridge Wells or to Bristol or something. So they leave at 11 o'clock. Everyone's gone. So when I was there, it was so lonely because there was nobody to hang with. So I would say that the Broadway community, and you can see it like at Broadway Cares events too. We always come together to help. We're doing we're doing stuff right now we're doing a benefit for Darkness Rising. We're doing a concert at Birdland, and we just put this thing together. But the thing about the Broadway community, we care so much about each other and other people, and it's really nice to see when even doing a benefit concert for a hurricane and stuff. But we always step up. We're always the ones that step up, and I love that.
That's awesome, and an awesome note to end on. So, Christopher, thank you so much. Congratulations on everything that you've achieved in your career, continue to achieve. We can't wait to see what's next. Obviously, Company is next up for you, so our audiences can find you there when the New York Theater District reopens. And is there anything else that we can promote on here for you today?
No, I think I'm good. There's nothing. I'm not doing anything until October, so I'm just sitting at home now.
Well, thank you so much. This was such a great conversation. You've had a great career, and we really enjoyed it.
All right. Take care, guys.
Take care. Thanks.